welcome to our second episode here of 30 Minutes with the Manager. Joining me today is Steve Norcini, our Public Works Director. Steve, welcome.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
Steve, maybe just tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been with the Township?
I've been with the Township about 2.5 years now. I'm a local person. I live in Wayne, Chester County. Grew up in Radnor Township until I was married and have been in this area all my life.
Great. And how do you like being here?
I love working at Radnor. I'm very fortunate in that I have great people in the Public Works Department. And they're great to work with, and it's truly an honor for me to work with them, as well as yourself and all my fellow department heads.
Now, I know with the staff, they do just a tremendous job, and given, the past few years, you've had the hurricanes, you've had, just an awful winter this year, and the staff rose to that occasion. You want to just speak about that?
They do, Bob, and it's great that you mentioned that because they step up to the plate all the time. This was the worst winter I've ever encountered in my many years of doing this. Maybe not the snowiest in Philadelphia, but by far the most frequent storms. And the men of the Public Works Department were in all the time doing a bang-up job. The same thing goes for the hurricanes. We're in for 20, 30, 40 hours. They do a great job, what I consider a fearless job at times during the night. And again, I just can't say enough about them. It's a real pleasure and honor to work with them.
Now, do you think some of the efforts that your crews go through, a lot of times people don't realize how much pre-preparation that's done for these different storm events or weather events? Maybe just talk a little bit of some of the things you do.
That's a great point, because usually in the winter there's a lot of tasks we wish to get done. But when snowstorms are coming, we usually lose the day before, then the length of the snowstorm, which could be 2 or 3 days, then at least the day after for preparation. And the day after is repair, cleaning, and getting everything ready to a point for the next storm. So we do lose a lot of time, and that can make it tough to work in between snowflakes is usually the phrase we use.
So tell me a little bit about what you do in preparation for some of the rain events that come to town.
That's a great question. We do have a standard operating procedure, a pre-weather event procedure where we fuel up all our generators, the standby generators, the pump station generators, everything's checked, rechecked. Inlet tops are cleaned, trucks are loaded with signs and barricade, caution tape. The chainsaws and the chipper are all at the ready, and the men are ready, and we have crews ready to go. And we try our best to be as proactive in these storms as we can.
Mm-hmm. Now, not only is it your department, there's a lot of interaction that you have with other departments that help along these types of events.
That's true. Probably the department we interact with the most is our police department. And they are fantastic to work with, from the superintendent down to the newest hires. They're great to work with. We work very closely with them on the storm events. Sergeant Smith is the emergency operations coordinator, so we're hand in hand with him. We work with them in snowstorms, in preparation, and in just throughout the storm. They will assist us if there's an issue, and we'll try to assist them if we can. And then we also deal to a lesser extent, but still importantly, with our community development department, not just in storms, but in issues of sewer. They're a great help to us from the health department standard. And again, not on a storm way, but we deal with the recreation department quite a bit. We support them in setting up their fantastic programs they have to offer.
Now, also as part of this Public Works, you do a great job with the roads and that, but also you do maintenance of the parks, and also trash collection comes in underneath your realm of responsibility.
That's correct. So we have a large group of probably the largest single group, do our trash collection, brush collection, and recycling every week. So that's 7,000 plus homes twice a week for trash and recycling. We have our highway group that takes care of our potholes, inlets, storm sewer pipes, sanitary sewer crew, which takes care of our sanitary sewer, and the parks maintenance crew, which takes care of all our parks and is our de facto tree crew.
So during a lot of these weather events, let's just use snow for example, you're using everybody. So from sewers, from trash, from parks, from highway, they all get involved with these type of, like a winter event?
That's correct. On any snow of substance, say 6 inches or more, The trash trucks have plows, so there's at least 7 trash drivers and plowing. The highway crew has most of the dump trucks, and the parks department and sewer department are in the pickup trucks. And by having this set up, it allows us to attack more roads more quickly, because Radnor does every road. We treat, plow every street in the township, state and township. And with that mix of crew, we're able to really jump on it and try to do a great job. And the guys take pride in what they do, and that shows at the end of the job.
Well, I know I'm very impressed with the job that they do, and very proud of all their hard work and efforts of how they handle that. And it's interesting because we get the comments from our residents that live here, but also residents from our neighboring communities about how good our service is here, and they know when they hit the borders of Radnor Township just how good those services are.
It's true. We got a lot of great emails and phone calls this year on the snow removal, and we always get a lot of phone calls and emails on our trash folks. The other crews are a little less in the public eye. You know, the trash crews touch everybody twice a week, and again, it's everybody on snow. It's really an all-in. That affects all our residents also, but those are the 2 biggest things we get a lot of great comments on.
Good, good. Well, Steve, thank you for joining me on this program, and I'm sure we will see you shortly.
Thank you for having me.
Right, thanks. Joining me now is Kevin Kochanski. He's our Director of Community Development. And Kevin, well, thank you for joining me here.
Absolutely, thanks, Bob.
Kevin, maybe just talk about how long you've been here and what your background is.
I've been here a little over 2 years. I started in December of 2011. I come from a planning and landscape architecture background. Had over 12 years of municipal experience as a consultant prior to my start here.
Mm-hmm. And how you like being here?
That's great. Great group of people to work with. The residents are great. It's a very good environment here in Radnor.
Mm-hmm. Maybe just talk a little bit about what your department does.
Well, our department, we do a little bit of everything. Anything that really happens in the township in some form or another, the department is responsible for or has our hands in, starting with our health department, primarily looking at restaurants and pools and doing food safety inspections, making sure that the establishments that people are enjoying are safe for them to eat in. We also do code compliance for building, so when building additions are coming in, they're looking at the plans to make sure that they meet all the minimum code requirements, as well as then during the building of those structures that they're going out and inspecting those. We also look at zoning and planning, doing plan reviews, to make sure that any new plans coming in are compliant with zoning, as well as doing ordinance amendments and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Now, when we talk about health, a lot of that is food health, food safety items. Does that involve like inspections at the different restaurants throughout town to make sure they're in compliance?
That's one of the things in the health area. They do surprise annual inspections, sometimes more than annual if there's a particular establishment that has some issues. So there's follow-ups to make sure that any of the corrective actions are being implemented.
Now, if I'm a resident and I want to find out if there was an issue at a certain place, do we post something on the website?
We do. One of the things that we take pride in is posting our information up on the website. Something that the Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture we've been working with very closely. The program that we've implemented is something that the Department of Agriculture is looking at implementing statewide. So they're utilizing the processes that Larry has developed as a test case to see how that's going to work before they roll something out maybe a little bit more permanent throughout the state.
Now, items regarding like West Nile and those types of things that come out, are those things too we try to
we do. That also falls under Larry in the health department. So we look at areas that may contain stagnant water, things like that. We get complaints and we monitor those results that come back and act accordingly.
So if a resident or a business has a concern about standing water or an issue with a neighbor, like a dormant pool or something like that, can they call Larry here and make them aware of that?
Absolutely. They can call community development and we will go out, whether it's Larry or one of the property maintenance inspectors, and take a look at the situation. It could be a pool cover that's not draining, old tires that collect water, things along that nature, all contribute to this issue of stagnant water. Even leaves can hold water. So, the issue is quite prevalent in the township, and whether or not it's just an attractive nuisance that can create and lead to West Nile doesn't necessarily mean that it will.
Okay. Now, codes and code enforcement, construction, that all falls under your area. Now, is that from anything where if someone wants to put a deck on their house to building a home, building an addition onto a house, a new building? Is that something that all works through your department?
It does. It starts as small as a fence and goes up fences to sheds, additions, decks, patios, one form or another. We do look at all of those, and we work very closely with the engineering, because generally something that requires a zoning or grading permit will then be coming through community development as well for building permits.
Now, are there standards that are required to be followed then in these construction, health, safety, and welfare type codes?
The codes that are generally adopted, whether it's the zoning code or the international building codes, which we fall under, the 2009 edition at this point, all have health, safety, and welfare of the residents, whether they're living there, they're renting there, or they're occupying the space as a customer, all have that in mind.
Now, does this also involve too where if you have rental properties, apartments, those types of things, do you also do inspections of those?
We do. About 18 months ago, we revamped our rental housing inspection program. We were supposed to be doing at least once every year. 18 months into the program, we got through all of our rental properties, and we're starting back over just to make sure that the landlords and the tenants are aware that we take this area, the housing stock, very serious in the township, and to make sure that it's an acceptable level. Most of those issues fall under the property maintenance code, so that we make sure that there's an acceptable living standard here in the township.
Now, sometimes you have contractors and that work throughout the township. Is there something that you try to encourage homeowners or businesses that if they're looking to hire contractors or that, is there, should they be reaching out to you or?
We don't maintain a list of contractors. Obviously, there are certain contractors that do repeat work in the township. We don't advise for or against a contractor. Obviously, if there's some issues, we won't license the contractor, or we keep a close eye, make sure that during the plan review process or the inspection process, that things are being addressed to the minimum code levels.
Now, you mentioned having a license here. Is it beneficial for someone who does business in the township to be able to should they have a license?
Well, the residential contractors are licensed through the state. We just ensure that they do have their appropriate license. The commercial contractors then come through and get licensed here in the township.
So that's something that residents should ask for to make sure they are licensed?
Yes.
Okay.
We always encourage residents to do their homework, get multiple quotes, don't take the first quote. Sometimes if it's take me up on the offer now because I won't be in town, well, that should send up some red flags to make sure that, if they're not going to be here, how's the follow-up service going to be? If it sounds too good to be true, in most cases it is.
So it's something you would encourage residents, if they have a question, to call?
Absolutely. If there's any questions or concerns, if the contractor's licensed, are they able to do work, to reach out to community development. Most of the work that involves any renovations does require a permit. If it's painting or carpets, something like that does not. Any building, any renovations generally do require a permit. So if your contractor's telling you that permit's not required and you're not sure, check with the township, because in most cases a permit is required.
What are some of the big things that the department's working on right now?
Right now, obviously we're getting into our spring season, so we're going to be looking at, from a property maintenance standpoint, grass that's going to be big. Make sure that there's not any violations there. We do have our repeat properties that we look at on a regular basis, whether they're abandoned or neglected, to make sure that those are being kept up. We're also working on a couple different ordinances. We have the CICD ordinance as well as the mixed-use special transportation ordinance that we've been working on for the last 2+ years on both of those. So those are the two big ones. And then we're very busy with the building. With the recent snowstorms, there were a lot of downed trees, a lot of building damage as a result of that, as well as just the normal routine renovations that people do on an annual basis that is keeping the department quite busy.
Good. Now, your department is involved with planning that goes through projects, developments that go through the township?
Yeah, I kind of take the lead on that and work very closely with our engineer and engineering department on looking at plan reviews, making sure that not only do we have compliance with zoning, but if we can catch it in the early stages, if it generally it's a revision that makes sense for the township and we catch it early enough, we can get the developer, even though his idea may meet code, make him see that there may be a better way of approaching it and make all parties happy. So they're the types of things that I look at and make sure that from a general planning standpoint, things are being done appropriately.
Well, good. Well, Kevin, thank you for joining
Absolutely.
me as part of this our inaugural program here, and I look forward to having you back.
It's a pleasure being here. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you. Joining me now is our Recreation and Community Programs Director, Tammy Cohen. Tammy, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you, Bob.
Tammy, if you can, maybe just talk a little bit about how long you've been here with the township, the different roles you've had, and what your current role entails.
Sure. Well, I've actually started here in 1999. I was an intern, and then I became the program coordinator in 2001. And then I was the interim Parks and Recreation Director in 2010. And then shortly after that, in 2011, I became the Director of Recreation and Community Programming. So now I oversee the department, which primarily entails the overseeing of the coordination of a lot of the community events that are delivered by the township and the department, as well as recreational programming that's available for the members of the community, and also work closely with the Public Works Department, specifically the Parks area and department, on the execution of some of the projects that are relevant to the parks and recreation facilities within the township.
What are some of the programs that you have developed here over the last several years for the community?
Well, in the last several years, the biggest boost in development has came with the community events that have been delivered for the community. Some of the big ones that have grown into annual traditions are the Fall Pumpkin Patch event that's held over at the Willows Park. There's also the Wheels of Wayne, which is held in downtown Wayne. We also have a Night at the Ballpark event that takes place, and there's also been a Shakespeare in the Park event that was developed, and also a community event with the Willows concert that also has fireworks in terms of the celebration that has gone on there. And a lot of the recreational programming has been a staple over the years. Big programs, popular programs like the Radnor Youth Basketball Program, which has over 1,000 kids in participation, as well as the Radnor Day Camp Program, which has almost 300 people in participation. Those are some of the staples that have continued, and the events is really where a lot of the growth has taken place.
Now, a lot of the events that you've done, from the Wheels of Wayne that you mentioned, the Night at the Ballpark, and those. Now, are those funded wholly through, Township's general fund or budget, or how do you go about funding those different events?
Well, they're not funded by the township budget, so it is as a way to deliver those community events. They're funded primarily by sponsorship contributions that we work in collaboration with a lot of the businesses within the community, as well as the organizations, to be able to accrue that funding that goes towards those events in order to be able to subsidize a lot of the things like I mentioned before with the fireworks and any of the music that's provided or entertainment and activities. That money that comes from those businesses and from those organizations in order to deliver those events. So they're not actually generated and delivered directly with taxpayer money as per the township budget. Mm-hmm. So we're also excited not only to be able to deliver those community events that way, but also the partnership ability with a lot of the organizations and the businesses gives them a lot of great exposure and presence within the events as well. So it's kind of a win-win for both.
Now, you interact with the other departments within the township when you deliver some of these programs?
We do. We actually work very closely with them. The Recreation Community Programming Department couldn't do it alone. So really, in short, there's really no way to do that today, I think, in order to be able to deliver these events because of the magnitude of what's being delivered through them in terms of all the entertainment that goes on. So we rely heavily on the police department, of course, because they provide a lot of the security and the presence in terms of the parking and be able to control roadways and things like that, especially since some of the events are getting as many as 4,000 people in attendance. We also work really closely with the Public Works Department, who helps us with a lot of the logistics and the setup with regards to the events that happen. So for example, with the fireworks, there's a whole mark out that goes along with that in order to be able to set up a barrier and everything for where there's a safety zone with the way the fireworks are delivered. They help out with a lot of that. And of course, the Community Development Department is key because with these community events, we have a lot of refreshments and food that are as part of them as well for the members of the community. So they help us a lot in that area. So it's really, it's not only a collaborative effort, of course, with the businesses and the organizations, but with all of the township departments.
Now, not only working with the Board of Commissioners closely, you also work very closely with the Parks Board. Maybe you just want to touch a little bit base on them.
Sure. The Parks and Recreation Board actually meets once a month, second Thursday of every month at 6:30 p.m. right here at the Township Building for most of their locations. And we work closely with the board in order to take a look at a lot of the critical projects that are happening, more specifically relevant to the parks and the facilities within the township. And it's a 9-member board with 2 representatives from the school board. And they're a great bunch of folks who have really been able to give a great deal of insight over the years that has contributed towards a lot of really great projects and development within the township.
Well, great. Well, Tammy, well, thank you very much for joining me, and I'm sure you'll be on in future programs.
Great, thank you.
Thanks. Joining me now is our lieutenant in our Radnor Police Department, Lieutenant Chris Flanagan. Chris, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you, Mr. Zienkowski.
I know that with a lot going on in the police department, a lot of the new cars that we've seen, the new black and whites, and that you've taken the lead on getting those and putting all those into service there. Just talk about some of the equipment that we have, that we've upgraded to and that we have.
Excellent. We established a car committee, so we actually have officers from each platoon and special division on the car committee. That allows them to be involved in it and also get the latest information on what our guys need on the street. Then under the direction of yourself and the Chief of Police, Superintendent Colarulo, we wanted all-wheel drive vehicles so that there's no delay in service. In the past, we've had to go chain up the vehicles, wait in the garage in a line, they're very busy, and get chains on in particular for snow. Now we have all-wheel drive vehicles, so weather, mud, snow, water, our vehicles are on duty 24/7 with no skipping of service. So we're real proud of that fact, and I appreciate your support and the Chief's support of that mission. The vehicles themselves carry a rifle. They carry AED, which is an automatic external defibrillator. We have oxygen. We have what we call an MDT, which is really a car computer that we get the calls. We're able to check the addresses, also run individuals, and if we run a license plate, it will pull up any information on the driver or vehicle should the officer need it for an accident or if they're wanted. The vehicles themselves have all LED lighting, which puts less wear and tear on the vehicle. They also have some special functions, such as the light bar turns all white. This way we're able to illuminate a scene of an accident, or if we're on a high-risk car stop, the officers have more safety capability by having a better visual acuity on the scene.
Now, another area you've helped to initiate and implement is the motorcycle unit.
That is correct. We have currently we have 4 2013 Harley-Davidson motorcycles. We're extremely proud of that unit. It was all done by donations. Chief Colarulo helped us get world-class training to the Philadelphia Police Department, and the motorcycles now are used for several different events. They're on patrol daily. They also do funeral details, unfortunately. They do parades, and we support fallen officers in different events. Every year, matter of fact, in Easter, we'll do a ride with the Philadelphia Police Department where we take meals to each slain officer's house in the local area. So we're very, very proud of that unit, and it's working out extremely well. We used it for Villanova. We use it on the Radnor walking trail and in heavily congested areas, and then just general patrol calls. It's proving very efficient operation.
Now, there's one new addition that's coming to us here shortly, is our canine unit. Maybe you just want to talk a little bit about that.
We're extremely excited about taking a new level of service to the community. Again, under the authority of the commissioners and the support of the manager's office and Chief Colarulo, we're doing a 2-year trial period for canine. These are police dogs that will be trained in bomb control. In other words, they'll be able to proactively search for a bomb to reduce chances, or if somebody has a suspicious package, they'll be able to hit on the package, and then thus we'd call in a bomb squad, saving times, lives, and property by having early detection capabilities. The dogs also are what they call patrol certified, which means they can track people and they can also apprehend a suspect should it be warranted. Under extreme circumstances, we could have the dog deployed and possibly take somebody down in case they were non-compliant. The dogs can help find people in buildings, so if we get an open door, say such at a school or a TJ Maxx, it will greatly reduce the officer's downtime. It will have a much more thorough search capability, and it'll in theory help protect officers' lives. On the community side, they bring out a lot of good at school visits, and it shows a lot of support from the community, and they're also able to find, for example, missing children. If it has a scent from that particular person, our dogs will be able to help find elderly and children should they go missing in certain circumstances.
Now this program, is it being funded? General fund dollars, police department budget? How are the canine units being funded?
The Board of Commissioners allowed us to jump into this program after extensive research, but it wasn't a budgeted item, and their directive was if you could raise the funds, you could go ahead with the program. So we did raise the funds for the canine program. The township is buying the lights because they would normally buy the lights for any police vehicle. However, the community has raised several $1,000s for the program, and thus we've been able to pay for the dogs, one car, all the related dog equipment, leashes, harnesses, the school, and the veterinary bill, all through donated dollars. And we have a couple more events coming up to hopefully put on a second vehicle and any other items, and then who knows, in the future maybe we'll be able to look at a drug dog and another type of dog if the 2-year trial period goes the way everybody's planning on it to go, which is going to be excellent.
Good. Now, how are the officers doing with the training?
The officers, it's an extensive program. The patrol school, where they learn those apprehension techniques, agility, and strength, is 14 weeks. They've been a little hampered by snow, but they have almost at the end, and I believe we have 1 week left of that school. Fortunately, they're going to go right into a 10-week bomb training school. And we're very excited about that because we believe it's a proactive measure to protect our citizens and give them the sense of security that they deserve in our community, and maybe will help other people. And then number two is at the bomb school, the Philadelphia Police Department has a bomb unit, and many dogs that get training, they get that one-time training. Our officers are going to go back each month to make sure they're certified and go over all that. And with the bomb school, with the bomb department there, they're able to give us any new scents that come up in the world. So we are going to have a Class A program without any question.
Now, are these guaranteed, regardless of however your dog or the officer performs? Is it pretty much a guaranteed type thing that they would graduate?
Well, there's no guarantees in the final phase. The dogs we purchased, they came from Holland and the Czech Republic. There's a 2-year guarantee on their performance because it still is an animal. There's still things could happen. So we have a 2-year guarantee, which most places only had one. We were able to seek out a dealer who, in my opinion, gave Radnor Township the best possible opportunity for a quality dog. But they have to pass and they have to research, so the dog is constantly under pressure. If the dog is utilized on a bomb hit or an apprehension, the dog immediately goes back at no extra charge, and they review that particular case with us and our dog handlers, and they get recertified in that particular event just to make sure that we're following all policies and the dog was operating to its maximum potential.
So there's no guarantee that if the officer doesn't perform and the dog doesn't perform, there's no guarantee that they will fail, either the officer or the dog, if they don't perform.
Correct. They have to constantly perform, and they have to constantly perform monthly all the skills that they were trained to do. Otherwise, they're not allowed to be out on the street.
Good.
And that's the way we will have a Class A program with high standards that can't be compromised.
Chris, thank you very much for joining me, and I'm sure we'll have you on in future episodes.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Hi, I'm here with Jennifer DeStefano. Jennifer is the executive assistant to myself here with the Township. Jennifer, you have been with the Township now for approximately?
Just about 3 years.
It's about 3 years. And how do you like your role?
I love it. There's a change every day, never the same thing, something different. You never know what's going to come at you.
And some of the different things that you do as part of that?
Supporting the Board of Commissioners, supporting yourself, the board packets, updating the website, with all that information, interactions with the residents.
So this is the person that if you call my office or want to get information to the commissioners or distribute out through the staff, Jennifer is the person that is here that you can see now. Sometimes, a lot of times, is behind the phone or emails that go out. And I know that we try to get out information as quick as we can. Sometimes we get tied up, but we at least try to get back to people within a very short period of time. Good. Well, I just want to take this opportunity to introduce Jennifer to the community here, and thanks for being part of this program.
Thank you.
Joining me now is Maryann Cassidy. I want to thank you for joining me today.
No problem.
Maryann is one of the people that you see when you come into the building and be able to help you with any of the concerns or questions you may have. If you could just tell me a little bit about yourself, your background, how long you've been with the township here and the different roles you've been in.
I've worked for the township for 26 years. Majority of the time I've been in community development, building department. Last year I was in engineering for 8-9 months, which was a change. I don't know whether it was good or bad, but it's fun. I enjoy working with the customers, homeowners. It's a good time.
So anybody who has a question regarding anything that would be permits or a question about things taking place around the town, maybe a neighbor has an issue that they're concerned about, they can contact you here?
Sure. That's what we're here for. Ever have a question, we're a phone call away.
Good. And email, same thing too. If somebody has a question, they can shoot an email?
Yep.
Well, good. Well, Maryann's one of the people that if you have any questions, when you come into the building, you'll be able to see her or contact her. And thank you very much. I know you've done a great job here with the township and
Thank you.
appreciate all your hard work.
Appreciate it.